Welcome to Better Odds Sports Betting. Here's our hosts, Kev O'Neill and Kyle Hunter.
What's up, friends? Kev O'Neill here. Just wanted to give you a couple quick thoughts about the Saturday games for round 2 of the NCAA tournament. So obviously very exciting stuff already. We don't have to get into Princeton. Obviously, we don't have to get into Furman. From a betting standpoint, I only went 7-8 yesterday. I had a ton of line value, but you know how that goes sometimes. My biggest crash was Creighton. Both the over was going and Creighton was covering for a while, but just completely Texas let off the gas, and they let off the gas because they couldn't get a shot up. Texas actually did an amazing job defending them. They were like all over the perimeter, and that's how you guard Colgate, not Creighton. All over the perimeter is how they guarded Colgate. So that was a rough one for myself. I think that there's some good opportunity tomorrow. And I want to just kind of go over some of those lines really quick. I'm going to share my screen, look at the Betfred odds here, and see if there's anything that sticks out. Well, tomorrow, obviously, there's some smaller games. There's USC Upstate versus Indiana State. Don't know a lot about that, but Michigan Vanderbilt's really interesting to me because both teams like to turn up the pace. The total is 148.5. I would certainly lean to the over there on that one. I haven't completely capped it yet, but I'm going to dive into that one a little bit after this show. Let's start out right away with Furman versus San Diego State. And San Diego State's minus 5.5. The total is 138.5. I find this game interesting, being that's the same spread as what we had with Charleston, right? And San Diego State didn't exactly deserve that cover at the very end, but we'll take it, obviously. For anybody that bet them, I didn't bet them. I was an innocent bystander there. But what I will say is Furman versus San Diego State. I lean to the under in this one for sure. It's at 138. Now, this is just a much bigger game to what these kids play. I would say they won't be as reckless on defense. And I think that there's going to be some points coming at a premium. Furman plays in a lot easier of a conference, as you know. San Diego State, a little bit tougher of a conference in the Mountain West, even though the Mountain West isn't great. But, from a pace, San Diego State's a pretty slow team at 253rd in the nation. Furman ranks very highly near the rim, and that's where they're going to try to score. But San Diego State has the height to stop them to scoring during close to the rim. This is just too high of a total, in my opinion, at 138. So I'm going to be looking towards the under in this game. Another big one coming up is Duke versus Tennessee, as you can see right here. Minus 3.5 now. I grabbed this real quick when it opened at minus 2.5, and it's up to 3.5. But to be honest with you, I would still take Duke. You saw how Rick Barnes finished that game yesterday. Absolute debacle. I mean, they're in danger a little bit of losing that game. Took some free throws at the end to just win by 5 or 6 points for the Volunteers here. So I'm not too obliged to be back in Tennessee anytime in this tournament. But you saw how Duke took care of Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts couldn't even shoot the ball. They had the lowest scoring team total at 51 yesterday. That's Duke for you. You know, Duke's just a much better team right now. It's going to take a lot for Tennessee to try to cover it. Now, I did lay the 3 as well a little bit later, and I gave that out. At 3.5, I would give it out. At 4.5, I would give it out. I think Duke is just easily matches up with Tennessee because they have the height with Filipowski. They have a great shooting with Roach, Dariq Whitehead. You can't forget Tennessee's without their best point guard in Ziegler, too. I think that's about time. Gonna mess with them a little bit. So Tennessee incompetence. We're gonna lay the points still with Duke right here. Arkansas, Kansas minus 3.5 here. A little juice on the Arkansas side. Total 144. I didn't play this yet, and I got close to betting Arkansas. I think this is going to be a very close game. Spread tells you that Kansas is maybe a little bit overrated as a 1 seed here. I mean, only laying 3.5 against an Arkansas team that was like an 8 seed against Illinois. So one of my thoughts is that Arkansas is probably the right side in this one. It's a short spread. I could see the fouls at the end pushing it to 5. Say Arkansas is down by 2, they miss their shot, foul, they lose by 4. I mean, that certainly can happen. It's not really in the realm where I want to jump in because I'm not seeing a ton of matchup advantages. We can pull up Better Odds Sports Betting right now and see what it says for this one. Kansas projected to be winning by a little less than 4 points, around 3.7 points, I believe. Eric's got it at 74.1 to 70.4. So there you go. Kansas, they're going to have some advantages from just straight field goal percentage. Obviously, they shoot really good, but so does Arkansas. Arkansas should be able to score a little bit near the perimeter. Near proximity points is something I definitely look at. But, I mean, this is Kansas right here. They're a very good team also near proximity, but Arkansas's defense shows up a little bit more. I think the numbers and why you see this thing going from +3.5 down to +3, it just kind of shows what Eric has right here. Not a ton of advantages from 3. Both of these teams can defend the perimeter. I think Kansas is going to have a little bit of a struggle here. Plus, McCullers is not exactly healthy. I definitely would lean towards Arkansas on the points here, and this definitely could be a play for me coming up in the near future. Princeton, Missouri. Obviously, Princeton with all the effort yesterday, and their effort was on the defensive side of the ball, but they didn't win that game as much as Arizona lost that game. Arizona didn't score in the last 4 minutes. They scored 6 points in the last 11 minutes. They couldn't hit anything. It was just a terrible offense. Tommy Lloyd was terrible coach. Missouri, it's weird to see Missouri here laying 6.5. What a gift, right? They got by Utah State, but their press defense should give Princeton something that they really haven't seen yet this year, and that can completely mess them up. I think Princeton can probably score a little bit inside, but this is a massive total for 2 teams that are kind of going to be all over the place. A little bit of a letdown spot for Princeton too, even though it's a tournament. 149.5 seems extremely high on that one. So I'm going to be looking a little bit more towards the under in this one. I actually played it at a better number myself. Auburn versus Houston. What can I say? I have a premium play on this one, and it's a large play. So I don't want to talk too much about this for our members at the Odds Breakers, but I will say is it looks like Auburn's going to be very injured in this game. One of their best, or not Auburn, Houston's going to be injured. Their best player in Sasser re-injured his groin, and his pain level, I guess, was at about a 7. So looking at KenPom here, you can see he takes over 25% of the shots, 26.6. Auburn easily took care of Iowa. And here's the thing about this game. Auburn played a team that plays similar to, I think, Houston with the big guys, and sometimes they will get out and run a little bit. Now, Auburn, I love how they played yesterday. If they can play a smidgen of that against Houston, they're easily going to still cover this 5.5, in my opinion. I have it at a different number, so we'll just leave it at that on this one. First half unders were really good yesterday. They're not off to a great start today, so also keep that in mind. I am a little concerned for the whole trend on the first half unders because the books are juicing the heck out of it. A total could be 151, and they're putting first half unders at 70.5 points. That's not correct. It should be around 72, 73 for a first half, and they're putting in the -120 on it. So they know what's going on. They're trying to obviously make their money and put the best line for them out there when people are still going to bite. So that's what's frustrating me a little bit in this tournament. Penn State versus Texas, +5.5 for Penn State. Total 139. What does that say? I mean, Texas is as good as they look. They destroyed Colgate. That tells you Penn State's competitive, man. I'm a little concerned for that line because if you're a Texas fan, you would think Texas should be a little bit more of a favorite over what, a 10 seed like Penn State. This is telling you right now that Penn State was underseeded. Penn State should have been a higher seed because of the way they've been playing. There's some senior leadership. They got the best guard in the Big Ten in Jalen Pickett. The tournament is for guards. This could be a shootout. And if Texas can get cold, they could be in a lot of trouble here against Penn State. I like Harar. They just have a very solid team down there. And the 5.5, I suppose I would lean to Penn State at this point, but Texas is tough too. And Texas, what they did to the Big 12 blew my mind. What they've done to Kansas this year in the Big 12 tournament, as well as I believe at home, winning by double digits each time, tells you how legit of a team this is. But, down low is where Penn State hurts a little bit. So you wonder if Texas's big guys can make a big difference. Down low, Penn State tends to give up a lot of points, but Penn State, they're the 5th best 3-point shooting team in the nation right now. Okay. That's dangerous. So not exactly going to be diving at the under on this one. Northwestern UCLA, another interesting line. UCLA, this would be a 10 or 11 point spread if UCLA wasn't injured, but did that matter to UCLA yesterday? No, it didn't. I unfortunately for UCLA, I think this is just a bad matchup for them because Northwestern is just such a defensive oriented team. That's why you see a total of 126.5 on the Betfred odds screen. So one of those situations where I wouldn't be laying it with UCLA here. I think there's a good chance that Northwestern can swoop in and get this spread here. So definitely siding with Northwestern on this. Now, I did get beat bad even with line value yesterday, betting against UCLA. But, Northwestern's kind of playing with house money. What does that mean, playing with house money? It means that no one expects much out of them. They got into the tournament. Why not just show up, right? Why not just show up? At some point, UCLA's injuries is going to catch up with them. I don't know if it's tomorrow, but I certainly would not be backing them the rest of the tournament. And finally, Maryland versus Alabama. Alabama minus 8.5. The total is 144. I certainly think that Alabama's injury that people are not talking about is pretty intense to Miller. He injured his groin and he's questionable. Well, what does that mean? The team's not going to announce he's out, but I am certainly concerned for that for that injury because Brandon Miller plays 80% of the minutes. He shoots over 27% of the shots for Alabama. There's only one way to go in this, Maryland. And let me show you something on the screen right here, how they match up. And I looked at this on Haslametrics. No big advantages. Look at Alabama in possession, just mid-range shooting, mid-range and maybe second chance points. Well, Maryland's tall down there. Look at Maryland. They have a decent defense. They kind of match up across the board against threes as well as against near proximity shots. Everyone wants to fade Maryland, but Maryland is the best when they are not believed in or playing as a dog. So Maryland's the play here. Believe it or not, Alabama's scary. They play a monstrous game, but finally they are going against guys that are tall in Maryland down low. Maryland's got a 6'9" Julian Reese, Donta Scott at 6'8", Hakeem Hart at 6'8", 3 big guys down there to deal with. So it's not going to be an easy feat for Alabama to get past them. And once again, nobody's believing in Maryland. Massive spread of 8.5 or 9. Play is definitely Maryland, my friends. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to tweet us at the Oddsbreakers. Tweet me at OBKiev. Enjoy the rest of the tournament and go get some winners.
Thank you for watching Better Odds Sports Betting.